The following Smark Out moment is scheduled for one take.
One take.
And it is to break down the hot tags of the week. Introducing first, your co-host, Mr. Smark Out moment, never misses a podcast, Robert DeFelice.
Boo.
And introducing your host, he is the one and only master of the Brazilian two-tongue tango. It is Tony Mango.
Now I need, since I'm the one and only, I need that pew kind of thing at the very beginning. What's up, everybody?
Tony?
We're doing Smack Talk. That's what we're doing here. So
That's right.
I'm doing. How you doing?
I'm doing as well. It is 1:34 in the morning as we get ready for these hot tags, and I'm wide awake.
So am I. Normally we try to do these right after Monday Night Raw, but I decided to wait and to watch an episode of Table for Three and to run into a bunch of computer errors and still not necessarily fix those. But hey, that's you roll with the punches and you go with what you're going with. So we've got a couple different hot tags to break down here, and we actually ended up having more to talk about than now that we waited a little bit longer. So we're gonna break them down one by one. Even though there's not a list necessarily that we need to go one by one, I'm giving you some extra notes that I don't need to do and blah, 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 and rambling on and stuff like that. Podcast-wise, we've done like 400 of these, way more than 400 of these, and we're still just kind of rambling. So I'm just going to cut myself off, and we're going to move into this.
Yeah, I like that idea.
We invite you to drop your comments below for all your thoughts on the hot tags that we will be talking about here, and while you're doing that, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and ring the bell for notifications. And you should be following us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. You should be following our personal Twitter accounts. I'm Tony Mango and a Mango Tree and a bunch of other things like that. Rob is Dude Felice. And if you want to know some other plugs, hey, look at that. I got a lot for you. So there's also the merchandise shops on SmarkOutMoment. There's the Patreon. And shout out to Deadshot for that, for heading up the Patreon and giving a donation for that. So if you want to keep the lights on and keep me sane and keep me alive, then consider donating to the Patreon. Maybe you can get some more podcasts of us being in a giddy mood after trying to research the Anawayu family tree and stuff. You should check out the iTunes feed. You should check out the other audio only podcast kind of platform things that we've got stuff all over the place on. You might even be listening to us on that. And if you are, leave a ranking or a rating or whatever those things have on there. We've got, I already said the merchandise shops, TeePublic and Redbubble. And I've got fanboysanonymous.com for geek culture topics and stuff. I still have more plugs, but this isn't a plug podcast. This is the Hot Tag podcast. So we are going to talk about Evolve 131. We're going to talk about this past episode of Monday Night Raw. We're going to give predictions on SmackDown. We're going to talk about some other things. And I want to just breeze through this one really quickly. WWE Chronicle Ricochet.
Skip it.
Yeah, it's more of a skip it. My big note that I have to myself was the random line in there where he says, I also want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Which I just thought that was very random. And I liked that. So
it seems like a you thing.
Yeah, it's just like, give that man a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He deserves it. It's fine. It's not the best Chronicle. Chronicle seems to be getting worse. Like the first one I remember was Shinsuke Nakamura. I liked that one. And I haven't really been enjoying. Yeah, like some of them have been good. I mean, they're not like bad. But do you really need to sit for half an hour of like, I've gone through a lot, and this means a lot, and, you know, it's the same kind of things that we see. It's WWE the day of, it's WWE 24, it's WWE 365. They're all the same, and I really wish that they would only do, like, one introspective type thing and make that, like, I don't even know, maybe just keep the Chronicle name, because Chronicle works. Like, WWE Chronicle, we're going to go through the 24 hours of WrestleMania. We're going to chronicle WrestleMania. WWE Chronicle 365 for whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Why not do that?
Yeah. The 24 name is stupid.
I really hate that name.
The only one that makes sense is 365, and that's probably the one with the best format.
Mm-hmm.
So merge them all into 365. Or, if you want to do 24, just call it day of. That makes more sense, and you're not actually following 24 hours in the day, so don't call it 24.
Well, they should also clarify a little bit more with this, because this is labeled WWE Chronicle Ricochet. So it's just all of Ricochet? Well, they only talk about his United States title win. So why not make it WWE Chronicle Ricochet wins the United States Championship? Or something like that, And they could do that with other things, too. WWE Chronicle Alexa Bliss's year of recovery. WWE Chronicle 365 Kevin Owens. Like, that way you don't need to have WWE 365, but it's WWE Chronicle 365 days of tracking this, or, because if you just told me, like, hey, do you remember the episode of WWE Chronicle, I don't know, Sami Zayn? I'll be like, which one was that? Oh, that's the one where they're talking about that. But if you tell me WWE 24 WrestleMania 38 or whatever it is, then I'll be like, oh, that's the one where they're talking about that event. Like, it's weird. Don't like those naming conventions. But I say skip it. I would also say skip the table for 3 that we had.
And I did.
Yeah, it was the Hardy Boys and Hurricane Helms. And I honestly don't have a single note from the entire thing. I feel like, and I didn't put it on in the background and not pay attention to it. I actually sat and watched it. And I don't remember them talking about like anything. So this was one of the most lackluster episodes of Table for 3 for sure. Disappointing.
Matt Hardy and Hurricane Helms, who will be on Raw next week, by the way, and Jeff Hardy, they grew up together. I get the reason you had them do this Table for 3, but I think I'm spent on that format as well. They don't utilize it properly, in my opinion. Like, there's some of them that I could just show them eating a meal and chatting for 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, but like the full hour. Or like, there's some people who have great conversations. I'm sure this wasn't one of them, even though I skipped it. And it's also awkward, if you don't mind me doing the segue here, because Jeff Hardy was just arrested recently.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy unfortunately was arrested for public intoxication. He's just kind of walking around. Was it Myrtle Beach? What it was?
Myrtle Beach.
And there hasn't been a whole lot of information of exactly like what went down, if he was like causing a scene or something, or just kind of one of those things that happens. But you got to imagine if he got arrested for that, he must have been drawing attention to himself.
I can't imagine Jeff Hardy intoxicated and not assume that it's just, I was going to call it Day of Reckoning, Victory Road, but in public, like in real life, where he's just that drunk. And honestly, the bond was set really low at, I think, $200. So maybe it wasn't that serious. Maybe he was just being a little loud and somebody said, hey, get this guy out of here.
Yeah. Could have just been slightly disruptive. Somebody was like, trigger happy on the phone, that kind of a thing. It's always disappointing, though, when you hear that somebody has some kind of a slip up like that, because obviously Jeff has gone through so many different instances of being arrested for different things and stuff, and you can criticize this and you can talk about that and you can do all the kind of roundabout discussion work when it comes to that stuff, but I think everybody kind of agrees that it's just like, damn it, that sucks. Might not be the biggest thing in the world, but it's still disappointing.
I do want this to hopefully be an end to using his addictions in storyline. Like, it's clear he doesn't have a handle on them. Stop using them in story.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really a good idea to be doing that with people anymore. Nowadays, it's kind of, not that it's like taboo to do that, but it's just insensitive, I guess.
Yeah, but obviously they get his approval. Don't want to be one of those guys, because obviously we know nothing about what actually happens. I just don't think it's a smart thing to do, because he clearly continues to fall off the wagon.
Yeah. So you gotta hope at the very least that this was just one of those weird instances, because I mean, let's put it this way too. You can have somebody who gets a ticket for driving and they've done something really awful, like they've been a drunk driver and they ran into a bunch of stop signs and they did whatever. Or you can be like, oh, you were going 26 and a 25 and you got a ticket. And if you frame it as this person got a ticket for reckless driving, you're going to look bad. So this might be literally nothing other than just an unfortunate situation where that happened to have been the circumstances,
Yeah. He posted on Instagram, "Thank you, Myrtle Beach," which I thought was odd. But he does that in every town he's in. I don't know.
Maybe it's a little joke.
I want Jeff to get the help he needs. But I also think he's got as good of a handle on it as he ever will.
Probably, yeah. So you gotta hope that this isn't something that's like gonna be something to reference again. Kind of like whenever something happens with Sunny and then it's like she goes back into jail and then this is another thing, whatever. Hopefully this is just one of those very, very, very minor little slip-ups or something. But we don't know. So, yeah.
Another thing. If there's more, we'll say more,
Yeah. Here's hoping that we don't have to talk about it on any other hot tags. And if we are talking about those kind of unfortunate situations, let's talk about the fact that Tamina is now injured. She suffered a possible concussion in a match against Naomi at a house show recently. So that sucks. I mean, obviously, that's never anything good.
Yeah. But, they'll give her some time to go home, rest up, and, try to figure out that family tree of hers.
I would assume that with this new regime, Tamina probably wasn't about to get a major push anyway. But it's, there's never a good time to be injured because you have to get hurt in the process.
Every time we talk about her, I just can't help but think I was super into her with the Usos when she first came in. Yeah. And I thought, what a great foil for Natty and the Hart Dynasty. And all of them, with the exception of Usos on occasion, but they struggled for a while, and Natty, who also struggled for a while and just kind of won the day in longevity, they all struggled.
Yeah. Tamina more than anybody. Well, Tyson Kidd, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
It's like they came in and they were like, oh, this is going to be a big thing. Like, we're going to see this feud happen multiple times. And Tamina really, I mean, it's odd that Tamina's never won a championship because she's never been, she won't ever because she's never been booked that strong.
I thought she had a good shot at those women tag titles.
It still could happen too. Once Nia's back,
that was probably my favorite booking of Tamina ever.
What, just being alongside Nia?
Being with Nia, yeah. I know they're a little reckless, but at least it made sense.
They could do some other stuff with that too. Like, they could, if they wanted to, have Naomi and Tamina as a tag team.
So you want to reform Team Bad? I think they would, but the Street Profits are using their theme song.
What do you think about Street Profits so far? This is a random aside, but
they're too good at what they're doing. They're going to end up getting pigeonholed in being the fun-loving tag team of a certain race because they're too good at it. And I think they kind of like how Crime Time was always good for the comedy sketch, but they never got a chance to be tag team champions. I fear that for the Street Profits.
I don't know if I'm misremembering or not, but they haven't had a live segment in front of the crowd yet, have they?
No, they have not.
Just behind the scenes?
Yep.
Wonder why they haven't done that.
Because I think they're too good at doing the commentary. They're almost like the outlandish YouTuber. They're good at commentating on what they're seeing on the screen. Like, I think tonight they were making fun of Drake Maverick and how, well, I can't believe he hasn't done it yet, but he's probably afraid because he's probably never done it. And, there's a reason guys put their height on their Tinder profile, which sure. I'm not a Tinder guy, but sure. And then Dawkins wants to get it on with Nikki Cross. I kind of like that little side.
He wants to smoke. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Let's just kind of run this down. We don't do this all the time, but this could have been a crazy night. There was a lot of what can happen on Monday Night Raw. Is this going to be when they start changing things over? Is the new regime taking over and all that? I didn't feel like this was a big step in any direction, but I could see some changes.
There were certain things that felt like they were a part of a new regime, namely the stuff that Maria did again. The Drake Maverick stuff is fucking fantastic. And obviously, which it will probably be the big ticket item, we saw the return of Bray Wyatt under some interesting presentation circumstances. I don't think much of that had to do with Heyman, but I do think Heyman had his paws all over Natty winning a match and going to SummerSlam. I think Heyman was all over the idea of Brock Lesnar's challenger will actually be earned, and it gives them the excuse to do the whole reigning, defending, blah, blah, blah. And I think, again, that Maria segment, because what the hell was that?
There's a lot of this episode that overall I like this episode.
I thought it was really good.
I think it had a nice flow to it.
For the viewers who listen to us regularly, Callum Wiggins did not. Callum Wiggins messaged us just recently and said, if that's a new era for Raw, then let's go back to an old one.
Callum, you didn't like it? Why? Drop a comment below.
He also says, also, I hate to be that guy, but how come the baddest woman in WWE and the woman who won in a grueling last woman standing match was left completely motionless for several minutes after one move from a man? Which, interesting point, and I kind of agree with him, that it was just the end of days after all. It wasn't like he beat her up with a chair.
Counterpoint, Baron Corbin is so good that one moves.
I thought it was weird that Heyman, he set up the whole, will it be Seth Rollins? Will it be Randy Orton? Getting a gauge for what the audience is feeling.
That's what I was thinking too, that it was let's see how the crowd reacts to each one of these people and we could take that going forward.
And he literally said, most popular man in Long Island, Baron Corbin. I want to see Baron Corbin go away and come back in 2 months as kind of that lone wolf character again. The dude collects human skulls for fun in real life. Why does he walk around in corporate casual and act like he's afraid of people?
We're going to play a little game here. This, I don't know, maybe this could even be some kind of future segment if you think that this is really interesting and you want us to try to make a whole episode out of something like this. You're given creative and somebody says to you, you have to repackage Baron Corbin and you need to put him in some kind of a team. Who would you team him with? Because you could do lots of things. You can do Baron Corbin does this whole crap that's been happening a lot where it's he and Shane McMahon or Drew McIntyre or whatever, and it's just a power struggle. You could do something let's completely repackage him, keep the name Baron Corbin, but have him be another member of the Wyatt family essentially, and have him those skull type things, or kind of get you played into that. You could do something Baron Corbin changes up his gear to reflect that he's a little bit on that creepier type of side, but he's not actually in some kind of a team. He's just sort of more of well, I'm a loner because I'm weird and this is why that's happening. And maybe he even becomes a babyface that way because he's starting to push away other people and be that dark emo dude.
I kind of revert him back to his initial NXT gimmick where he was just kind of squashing people really quickly. And if I had to team him up in a tag team, I would team him up with Damian Priest.
So the other Baron Corbin?
So you can either do that or, and follow me here, if he was going to be the leader of a stable, I put him with the Ascension. And I make the Ascension the Ascension again.
I kind of like that, actually.
And I'll go a step further. If I was going to give him, let's say you don't like Baron Corbin on the mic, I'll give him Corey Graves as a mouthpiece. They're friends. They're genuine friends. They genuinely get along. That would be really good.
I don't know if I dig the idea of Corey doing that, but I'm really liking this Ascension type thing. Like they could be the Wasteland, and they can just kind of play into that a little bit more. Maybe Baron Corbin wears some kind of an outfit that's a little bit more like something out of Mad Max or something.
Picture a stable, and I'm gonna do this segue perfectly. You have Baron Corbin, the Ascension as like a reinvigorated, welcome to the Wasteland, we're gonna fucking kill you, Ascension. And for the female, Shotzi Blackheart.
Well, that would work really well for that, but I still wanted to talk about Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Well, think about that, because I was gonna say Ruby Riott.
Let's put a pin in Shotzi, because I definitely want to talk about Shotzi. But Ruby Riott, yeah, maybe she could be a good mix like that, because she's got that alt chick kind of vibe. We know that Sarah Logan's gonna go with the Vikings because she needs to, and Liv Morgan
needs to go to the top of the Sexy Superstars tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna say she needs to lose the Sexy Superstars tournament, which, really quickly, for anybody who doesn't follow that and wants to know that information, that is going to shut off at some point tomorrow, because we're probably going to do our round 5 setup and all that stuff for Wednesday. So I have to shut off round 4 about that. But I've been keeping this going because it's very confusing. I have been trying to track some certain things, and I do think that there's something a little bit weird going on. But since I don't know, I can't really crap on anything. So what's interesting is there are already 403 responses, which is, I mean, the highest thing ever? Yeah, it's way the highest. The highest for anything before that was 277. And these votes are coming in like crazy, and they're really confusing the way that some of them are happening. Like they're in like spurts and stuff, but I don't know if anybody's tinkering around with anything. But what I will say is, if you're listening to this and you want somebody else to win than the people that are winning, then you should go ahead and vote, and you should pass things around, and you should post on other websites, and whatever the case may be. I'm not stopping anybody from doing anything. You have the ability to vote one time, or at least you should.
You know who else would be a fucking badass for this Baron Corbin stable with the Ascension? Ember Moon. Turn Ember Moon heel. Let her embrace the whole darkness side of her persona that she never actually got to embrace. And she, unfortunately, comes across like she's just a chick in cosplay. Let her embrace her darker side and pair her with this stable that I now want to see, even though it won't ever be a thing.
Do you think we're getting an inevitable Lacey Lane and Ember Moon tag team?
That's a good question, because she does have a mystery partner for tomorrow on SmackDown.
Oh, that's not going to be Lacey.
I won't be Lacey, but no, I'm going to say no. I don't think they've been a little better, he says, as they do Kabuki Warriors versus Iconics, of pairing people solely based on their race. I think they're kind of removed from that, at least in terms of, well, she's black, put them together. They don't do that as much.
Yeah, but they have more than just that going on. They're both about the same height. They both wrestle more energetic styles. They both have like...
I haven't seen much of Lacey.
If you check out Lacey's entrance alone, it's very Ember Moonish. Like, she's got like a bandana covering part of her face. I think it's a bandana. It might be something else now I'm thinking about it. But she's got that, and she's got this whole kind of like sort of creepy kind of vibe going. Like, if they would figure out which type of creepiness they want to merge together with, I think that they would just be two of the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I just jumped on a random episode of NXT, and I'm looking at her entrance. Yeah, it does look very Ember Moon-esque.
Yeah, she's
So
NXT's Ember Moon.
Perhaps we will get Ember Moon and Lacey Lane.
Some other things on Monday Night Raw that I wanted to talk about, since we're talking about these kind of things and stuff. We did get the Fatal 4-Way for determining who's going to fight Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, and that's going to be Natalya. And we'll talk about this stuff, obviously, when we get closer and closer to SummerSlam, but that's a month away, so that's why we're talking about some stuff ahead of time. You think they're doing this just because it's in Toronto?
Yes and no. I think it's a Heyman thing. I could be dead wrong. I don't know. But I think it's a Heyman thing, and Heyman wanting to do something else, because I thought they did a really good swerve of making you think, fuck, they're going to move this Nikki Bliss pairing to Becky instead of Bayley. And Natty winning, and they immediately get in each other's faces with the Becky goes, oh, well, I learned last night, or I learned recently that I'm a lot better at war than I am at love. And Natty just goes, well, then you must be a terrible lover, bitch. And it's
with your stank ass hair, like that's essentially what she said.
It's a little catty, pardon the pun, but I like it.
Catty natty.
Women are catty. I don't think that's unfair to say.
And of course, for anybody that's going to complain, it's a generalization. It doesn't mean everybody, but yeah. Just the way that you can do the type of like the overly macho guy stereotype, you could do the catty women stereotype.
And I think Natty pulls it off perfectly, and they got right down to what matters, and that's they're going to want to kick each other's asses at SummerSlam, and I think you'll get some Ronda Rousey mentioning in there, because, Ronda and Natty are friends. Even when Ronda turned heel, they were never opposing one another.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be fun. I think, and you can parlay this into a submission match at some point. And I haven't seen a lot of those, and that would be fun to watch as well.
Yeah, so that'd be cool.
Good move overall. Naomi looked pretty good, even though sometimes when Naomi does things, I think she's just so athletic that they give her these really choreographed to a T moments.
Like the split?
Like the split, or early on they did this like double drop kick into, okay, we're both gonna kip up. It was so done in sync that it just came across more like a dance than like alright, we're just in the heat of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the main thing we're going to talk about here is the match was long. And it was an elimination match, and after the eliminations, there would be no wrestling because they would cut to commercial breaks. By the time the match was winding down, there were audible chants of boring, boring, and I think
this
we
is
want
awful.
Sasha. This is awful. We want Sasha. And a chant that I haven't heard just used in a while. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Just like that whole, we're over this. Please get this off the screen. Naomi commented on this. She simply just put the drunk emoji. Like, she's woozy. Alexa Bliss seemed to take this more personally. At first, she just tweeted, just disrespectful. That was the extent of her commenting on it. And then she tweeted something to the effect of, yes, we encourage booing and cheering, but we don't encourage people to just flat out be rude. And I love Alexa Bliss. I don't think that's any big secret. But it really comes across like, okay, you can't take a little bit of the heat when people aren't into everything you do. The women should, if a match is boring, a match is boring. If Baron Corbin was in the ring and they had this reaction, McMahon's would come on TV next week and go, "Thank you, WWE Universe, for using your voice." However, with this, they're going to try to say, "Well, hey guys, be respectful, be fans, be a part of the show." It was long. It was boring. I think that's okay to say. I think if you're going to get hurt by it, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And that's coming from somebody who takes criticism to heart. And you and I have talked about this off air. I can't stand that kind of stuff. And I get why it would affect her, but at the same time, that's the medium you're in. And you should be 100% expecting that.
I mean, I didn't hate the match at all.
I thought it was actually pretty good. I think it just was too long.
Yeah. Because they needed to make it a fatal 4-way elimination because they're stuck on this whole idea of 2 out of 3 falls at elimination matches and all that. But if the crowd was thinking enough that they could do that for as long as they did, and that they weren't, just little pockets of people that were cheering that, then it's a problem. And if the crowd doesn't like something, it's up to performers to make the crowd turn around and stuff. Or, if they're booked in a situation where they can't get around that, then they're kind of screwed. But this, for the most part, seemed like it was just a matter of go out there and have a long match, and it's up to you. And yeah, if you get some constructive criticism, you got to take it and just kind of apply it. And if you get... I don't like it when people start chanting things like Randy Savage in the middle of a match and stuff like that, unless it's like a really bad match. And again, I had no problem with this for the most part, so I wouldn't have been one of the people that's like, oh yeah, let's try to hijack the segment. But it is a little hypocritical when things become like, well, we want you to use your voice and we want to listen to you, but at the same time, we don't want to listen to the criticism of the whole thing. Because it's the same thing as what we had months ago when the McMahon family were like, you're the ones in charge. But if you boo the things that we don't want you to boo, then we're going to be mad at you.
It seems like one of the famous clips from all the Roman booing at the 2015 Royal Rumble was, hey, it's just one town. And they're in New York. I could see them just telling the girl, it's just one town. But I think it was more a comment on the format of the match. It was long. Listen, Callum wasn't a fan of the show. You're not going to win with everybody.
Yeah, Callum didn't like the show as a whole. I thought that practically everything was good on the show.
I liked a lot of it.
I really liked the way that this flowed. I hate the idea that Brock Lesnar's champion. We're going to, Brock Lesnar roll the hell out of that over the course of whatever. But, they introduced that this is the thing that we're going to be building to later on tonight, which was the main event, which actually was the main event. And then set up a bunch of other matches. This is going to happen later. This is going to happen later. We got some other surprises for you. Okay, cool. Within the first 15 minutes, I know the main story and a couple of the other major bullet points. They went to Ricochet coming out. Hey, this is a really fun performer. He's going to go wrestle. Stay tuned. Cool. Ricochet comes out with the Usos. They beat Robert Roode and the Revival. It didn't need to be a 2 out of 3 falls match because I don't think that these are all that useful. But it was fun. And the club came out, and then it became like the heels while beating everybody down. Well, it's the numbers game, so the heels look strong. I'm cool with that. Ricochet and the Usos don't look bad because they had 3 extra people attacking them. Fine with that. Viking Raiders beat 2 jobbers. Doesn't matter. They just look strong. Whatever. They set up this whole thing of payback from last week from McIntyre and Cedric Alexander, which is like, okay, good continuity. You're kind of following through the way that things should go. And Cedric beats Drew McIntyre, which I don't like that that's the case. But I'll make the argument that if McIntyre would have just beaten Cedric Alexander, it would have been like, okay, well now he just beat the crap out of him for nothing, and McIntyre doesn't look really good in that kind of a win. Cedric just doesn't look good, At least with this, Cedric beating McIntyre was kind of treated as an upset. So maybe they take it somewhere.
And the way he did it was perfect, because it was just a fluke roll-up, easy to kind of go, oh, he got one up on him.
My brain registered that as fruit
Fruit
roll up.
roll up.
A fluke roll up. Fluke by the foot. Yeah, that's a good way to do it, though. It's like McIntyre was immediately up afterward, and the whole story was basically like, God damn it, you got me, but I'm going to beat your ass.
At some point, I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah, next week's Monday Night Raw, he might jump Cedric Alexander backstage and whoop the hell out of him or something, you know? And I'm interested to see where they go from there. Then we had this weird thing, though, with Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. This is what I was confused about. Joe beat him through, like, this random pin. And then they just kind of fought a little bit so Balor could, like, get a little bit of steam on his side. I didn't like that booking.
I think it was made to make Joe look like, hey, anything can happen. I caught you real quick. But Balor got his heat back, and you think, okay, 50-50 booking, and then the lights go off.
Then that's Bray Wyatt's cue. He comes in, he's doing the same thing that he's done before. He does the Sister Abigail, and he leaves. Not a fan. I liked the music getting messed up, but I don't want Bray Wyatt to just be the same Bray Wyatt, but now he's got a mask.
I think they need to hide the mask a little bit more. Like maybe...
I think he needs to just be repackaged.
Keep the hair down. Because the mask itself, when they were doing the lights, that was a nice visual. That was like, alright, there's a little kid watching at home right now that is going to see that in his nightmares. You know, it's not going to be so effective for us who are, 26 and 30 plus, respectively. But for a 10-year-old watching at home, that probably scared the shit out of him.
Yeah, it's a scary mask, but I feel like it's just going to be Bray Wyatt the way that we've seen him a bunch of times, but now he's got a mask. And that's like, I liked the Firefly Funhouse because of the different gimmick aspects. I was really hoping, and we might still, but I was really hoping that it would be like, that he would go wrestle as sometimes the mask kind of thing, sometimes basically Rambling Rabbit, sometimes as the Sister Abigail thing, and give him like the Three Faces of Foley type of gimmick.
But you never know. That might be what they're going for.
I really hope so, because if it's just Bray Wyatt attacks people the way that he's always done, he's playing mind games, he's doing weird lighting, and he's just doing the Sister Abigail, I'm already done, you know?
But while we're on the topic of Bray Wyatt, Harper, who was Wyatt family through and through, is back on the road with WWE. Do you see him getting involved in the Wyatt storyline? I always like when the Wyatt family is just together.
I don't think so. I mean, there might be something about that when we get into our predictions of tomorrow's SmackDown, but I don't think it's going to be a Wyatt-related thing. That too, if they do that and they just go like, okay, well now that we're bringing the Wyatt family back, I'll be like, you're not trying, you know? What they are trying about, though, is the 24/7 championship.
Oh my god.
Now, I will say I'm a little bit disappointed because I do think that they could have done this better.
Yes.
But what they did was Drake Maverick and Renee Michelle are at a hotel that's nearby, and they book a room. And the room that they book is underneath Mr. and Mrs. 24/7 champion, because if he booked it under Drake Maverick, everybody would know that he was there, which is like, that's good, stupid logic. Like, it's dumb, but it's supposed to be dumb. So it's like, okay, you know, whatever. And R-Truth is there, and he manages to get a referee to dress up as room service and hide him into the little tray thing, and pins Drake Maverick, who is wearing nothing but the championship and like some tighty whities.
There's such little nuances here. Like the idea that this is the referee from the wedding, and when Drake sees this referee, he's just like, oh fuck. And the referees have such a good time, he can't help but keep a smile on his face.
Yeah.
I also like R-Truth asking the lobby person if there was a room booked under Hornswoggle. That's lowercase HORN Swoggle.
Did he give him a 1?
He gave him a 1.
I thought so.
Because Drake Maverick paid this man in cash several $100s and a couple more for himself. And R-Truth pulls out a 1 and says, "It's still crispy, and this can be yours if you tell me where Hornswoggle is." And then they do a thing where they cut to him. He's putting flowers on the bed, and Renee calls out, "I'm going to slip into something more comfortable. I suggest you do the same." And "Oh, you're damn right I will." And he takes off his robe, and you just see the 24/7 title over his junk. And that's the first funny thing. And then he gets into bed, and they're pushing it a little. Like, he's like, yeah, get in here, get in this bed. And knock at the door. She ordered champagne. And he's talking to his boner. He's like, "Okay, alright, just keep it up. Just keep it up. Just keep it up." And then as soon as he sees the referee and R-Truth, he just loses it. R-Truth jumps on the bed with a crossbody, pins him, and says, "Hope y'all ain't constipated no more," and runs out the hotel room.
But the best thing of the whole thing, Corey Graves says, "I would have pinned him with a small package."
And that cracked Michael Cole, and I don't ever see Michael Cole get cracked. He's trying to move on to, I think, plugging the ESPY Awards.
Something serious or
And
whatever.
Graves just goes, "Oh, you should have utilized the small package." And they go, it's just funny. I had fun. Like, yeah, this isn't the greatest Raw, but I had fun with it. I had fun with a lot of things on this show, but that was by far my favorite segment.
There's some little nuances that I really like a lot. Like, I like the idea that they had Zack Ryder win a match right afterward because he's in Long Island, he's from New York, all that other kind of stuff, and he beats Mike Kanellis. And the way that they did it, now, I don't love this Mike and Maria storyline. In fact, I don't like it in a lot of ways. But if you're going to have jobbers, and they do need jobbers, let's put it blunt, some people just need to be the losers. If you're like a Bo Dallas or a Heath Slater or whatever the case may be, there needs to be some losers in the mix. And Mike Kanellis is filling that role. So they have Zack Ryder, and it's like, from Long Island, and they're like, "Woo," whatever. And he laughs because he's all just kind of like, "Yay," He beats him with a Rough Rider very, very quickly. And the thing that I really liked about this was Mike Rome literally announces him as, "Here is your winner in less than a minute."
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
That struck me funny. I laughed out loud for that one.
And then there's the funny part of, you see Ryder in the ring, so at this point I'm assuming, who's he getting fed to?
Yeah,
he gets
who's
no
like
entrance.
Some kind of like, well, if Drew McIntyre wouldn't have already done it at that point, like McIntyre would have like beat his ass or something.
And then you see you see Mike Kanellis getting ready in the back, and Maria comes up to him and he goes, "What are you doing?" And she's got her ring gear on. And she goes, "I'm taking this match because my pregnant ass has a better chance in this match than you do." And she walks out to the ring. And Mike hurriedly runs. He says, "I got this." Gets Rough Ridered in like 7 seconds. And Maria says, "Our unborn child would have had a better chance in this match than you."
Rough.
Ryder.
Yeah, there you go. Club looks strong tonight. They beat the Lucha House Party. We had Miz TV with Dolph Ziggler. It seems like they're starting a feud now, which
that was fun for you. I'm sure that I messaged Tony. "Oh man, they're gonna put them together. I've wanted this tag team for 10 years." 2 seconds later, Miz is beating the shit out of Ziggler.
then just, damn it. And then we had our 10-man battle royal, and that was to determine who's going to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, and it's Seth Rollins, which there's positives and negatives. They don't have that rematch clause anymore, but they clearly just wanted to do the rematch thing, and this is a way to get around it. Better than just announcing the rematch. I'm still not totally into this at all because it's fucking Brock Lesnar as champion, so, But I thought this was a good way to get around that.
But I got my hopes up for, like, alright, maybe it'll be Ray and we'll get a different match, or it'll be Bobby Lashley and we'll finally get that match. Or Randy Orton for some reason. I went, yeah, wait. he kind of got killed by Brock and never got a second chance at it.
You know, for a like, I don't know, maybe 20-second period, I thought that it might be Bobby Lashley. There was a little bit where I was going, you know what? Maybe they're going to do that and just have that be like some random one-shot match, the way that they did with Samoa Joe. But then he's the second person eliminated, and I'm like, all right, never mind then.
Big E was in there. He got to look strong by hitting the big ending on Braun Strowman.
Yeah, that was neat. When's the last time you saw Big E trying to fight for a world championship shot?
I like it. I think you might see more of that in the future.
Yeah, because this very easily could have been plenty of other people. They could have taken out that Drew McIntyre segment and put him in this. They could have put the Samoa Joe thing. He could have been in the mix. AJ could have been in there. Yeah, they could have done that. That could have been where Bray Wyatt popped up to do something. You know, it's cross-branded, so they could have put Andrade in there. They could have put a lot of different people in there just for the sake of like, well, this person's somebody that we could realistically see doing that. Or the Miz could have been in that.
Or Ziggler. Like, you could have stuck so many people in this match, but you chose to give Big E a spotlight, and I think it worked.
Yeah, that's cool.
Randy always looks good. I know I'm probably in the minority there, but the RKO is so much fun, and I thought it was a good battle. I thought it was fun. You know, you don't see a lot of fun main events on Raw with stakes, and this had stakes. And I enjoyed it.
That's because Otis isn't on Raw.
Tucker!
Stakes and weights. So that's our thoughts on Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk Evolve. That's kind of the headline that we have going on here. Don't worry about it. But why not talk about our predictions for SmackDown? Because we talked about what do we think is going to happen with Monday Night Raw when we were going through our Extreme Rules talk. And we just talked about Monday Night Raw. We're not going to have like a SmackDown post show, but, you know, maybe we'll throw something out there in the comments or something like that. I don't know. But they're reporting a couple different things for SmackDown. One of them being that the Kabuki Warriors are getting their SmackDown tag title shot, or their women's tag title shot. I don't like that. I mean, they obviously needed to do this match because they built it up 2 fucking months ago, it seems. But why have that just on SmackDown? I think that this is indicative of them just not ever caring about these titles. And at this point, I wish that they would just give them to, like, 2 women in NXT or something and just be like, okay, you do something with it, you know?
So this is Eric Bischoff's first night. And I think Sonny Ono is gonna come out with the Kabuki Warriors and take some selfies, and we'll be ready to go.
You think we're getting new champs?
Absolutely. The Iconics have done less than nothing, and one of them is getting married.
They screamed at Kayla.
Yeah.
It's the best thing that's happened in a while.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, but he didn't have that shrill voice. He wasn't just like, hey, Kayla! Do you think that they did this just because they want to have a title change happen on SmackDown?
I think it gives off the appearance of a fresh start. And I'm okay with it, because the Iconics literally did nothing with these titles. These titles were built up like the second coming of Christ. Vince McMahon, put on a Santa Claus outfit and announced these titles.
He did not want to do it, it seemed, though.
And the whole WrestleMania weekend, you have Sasha and Bayley crying on camera. I'm not talking about the rumors. About how they would literally knock on Vince's door every week and ask for these titles. And then they lose them. And yeah, stories have come out that they had a lot of major plans, and the Bell Twins were actually supposed to fight the Iconics right after Mania. But still, it's been 2 months and you've done nothing. Put it on the Kabuki Warriors and let them go to NXT. Let them go to Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live even, and defend these titles.
Yeah, because you mean to tell me that they couldn't have found somebody else to have some matches here and there? Come on. You could have very easily put them against, you know, when Candice and Io Shirai and Kairi were together, then Kairi leaves. Candice and Io Shirai still stick around to each other. Why don't they get a shot on some random NXT live event? Why not put them against I don't know, Naomi and Carmella, they were tagging for a little bit, just to do something with it. They clearly just said, "No, that's not our priority. We're going to figure it out later." And then 2 months went by, 3 months went by, whatever it was.
Well, because in fairness to them, what time have we had in the last 2 months to breathe and try to formulate an idea? We have a free week this week, and that's been an extreme rarity.
It's not in fairness to them. They can figure it out. Look, I'll put it this way. If Smark Out Moment had more of an availability for people to do some of the other things, we'd have more stuff. Like, and this is up on the Patreon for people that are interested. This is one of the reasons why that's on I think, what do they classify that? It's like the goals or something. If I had the funds to be able to make enough money through the website to even, support myself, let alone to be able to pass it around, then I would hire somebody to take on like the Monday Night Raw coverage and stuff. And if somebody else was doing the TV coverage, well, then I could do editing work for another podcast, and you got all these people that are working in WWE, and you've got, I'm sure Peyton Royce and Billy Kay want to be doing stuff. So they've probably pitched certain things, and it's just become, we don't have time for it on this episode of SmackDown. Over and over and over and over and over again.
Paige has expressed great frustration with the plan because they removed her from the GM role, which wasn't fair to her, and then they put her with the Kabuki Warriors and did nothing with that. So yeah, I would be frustrated if I was her too, because yes, she's injured, but she could still give back.
Yeah, and it's not like they took out the GM role and then they just didn't have that. They took out the GM role and they said, double Shane McMahon.
Speaking of Shane McMahon, he's doing a town hall, which would probably be a showcase for like Kevin Owens and maybe Roman if he's on SmackDown, to just be like, hey, you're full of shit and you suck.
I have no hopes for that town hall segment. I am very much assuming Shane McMahon comes out, cuts a promo, Kevin Owens interrupts, blah, 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 blah. It's 40 minutes long, something like that. I don't know.
The biggest thing that got me excited was that Charlotte was shown in the commercial for it, and I kind of miss Charlotte.
I am curious about this, though. Well, there's also this thing about Ember Moon's going to be in a tag team match. I don't think that really matters. It's probably Carmella.
Well, God, you said it like that, and now I think you're right. But
yeah, well, they've been teasing the whole Carmella thing.
Well, why would Carmella be a mystery partner?
Because it's just, hey, if you throw out a mystery partner, people will tune in, that kind of thing. Last week they did a thing of, if you can find a tag team partner, then you'll face us next week. So then it's like, well, she's got a mystery partner. Let's figure out who it is. It's Carmella. It's the person that's been telling her good luck against the Fire and Desire team for the last month. But maybe it is something different. Maybe it is like Charlotte. I don't think so. I think it's just Carmella. But I'm more concerned about this Daniel Bryan having a career-altering announcement thing. I don't know about that.
It's clearly in conjunction with the storyline, because he said he needs to aim higher, which is after he lost the titles. So maybe he'll aim higher by saying, yeah, I got 2 bodyguards now. Luke Harper, get on out here.
I could see him ditching Rowan. I could see him replacing Rowan. I could see him challenging Kofi Kingston, and that they're going to have that match at SummerSlam.
Maybe he challenges Nakamura.
I'd be cool with a babyface turn.
For Nakamura?
Actually, for both at this point, but more so for Daniel Bryan. I know that's kind of weird. I know a lot of people really like the heel Daniel Bryan, but I don't know. Something's missing about that to me.
Well, I think he just started. I think Shinsuke, though, as a heel didn't work. It was only funny when he was like, I'm going to punch you in the dick, and I know speak English.
It'd be great if that was one of his promos. I'm going to punch you in the dick. Also, I don't speak English. Like, he doesn't even say it with, like, the accent. He says it, it's just, like, monotone as that. So, Shinsuke, can you tell us what your thoughts are about defending the United States Championship against Rusev? I'm gonna punch him in the dick. Also, I don't speak English. See ya. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this, and I'm, gun to my head, I'm gonna say that it's just him saying that he wants to fight Kofi.
Well, aim higher. Maybe he's like, Aleister Black, you're corrupting the youth of America. And then you get that match.
Yeah, that might be interesting.
Also, Daniel Bryan is very quickly becoming a 2019 Mr. Bob Backlund.
Yeah, he pretty much is. He should run for president.
He should.
Yeah, so I think that's about it, other than our main topic, right? Anything else that we want to talk about before we get into that?
Just gonna give a once over on the news.
The news.
Or it just changes every 5 seconds?
It'd be like, breaking news. SmackDown has been changed to Velocity. It's green now. We don't have a green brand. Why don't we have a green brand?
Well, because the green brand was Velocity, and then it was Saturday Morning Slam.
Oh, what the hell? We need a green brand.
So no major news, but I do want to ask you, you hear this thing that if you call it the pre-show, don't get caught in WWE calling it the kickoff the pre-show, because Vince McMahon will go crazy.
Typical, like, I'm going to fixate on something else kind of thing of the week or month or year or whatever it is. It's so stupid. It's a pre-show. Call it a pre-show.
Well,
it's going to be the kickoff. What are you kicking? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little silly.
Yeah. And that terminology stuff, I get it to a certain extent, because I am, I got my little OCD kind of things going on. I've got my preferences. I like the labels on my website to follow a certain pattern. I like my puns. I like if you're going to refer to something, I'd like to refer to it as that and continue it going forward. But it's like, let's just say if I were running WWE and somebody said, hey, the pre-show, whatever, and I liked kickoff better, I wouldn't be like, I'm mad at you and you're going to be fired or whatever, It'd be like, hey, by the way, remember, call it kickoff. Like, But now let's get into Evolve. Now, we talked about this before, how our whole setup was going to be with the whole weekend. This was happening at the same exact time as Fight for the Fallen, so that took priority because it is still kind of like the bigger show. Not enough time to be able to do a post show because, I didn't get done watching this until 6 a.m, I think. So that goes to show, then I was like, all right, I got other stuff I have to do. I got to write an article. I got to write this. I got to do this, whatever. Then I got Extreme Rules coming up in less than 12 hours. So let me just go ahead and do this, But we both watched it. We both have our thoughts. So we both wanted to give a little review of this on the post show in some capacity. So that's why it's going into the hot tags. We started off with everybody in the ring. Not everybody, but a bunch of people in the ring. And I gotta say, and this is not going to crap it all over the whole thing, but I didn't like that. I didn't like the beginning of this.
Yeah, it seemed odd as a way to start the show.
Very, low rent.
They all were kind of intertwined, though, because it was Brandy and Anthony Green, who are a pairing, and they were also facing Josh Briggs and Shotzi Blackheart, respectively, who were in the ring with them as well. So it kind of played off. Let me just say, Josh Briggs should be NXT champion within a year.
Well, that was our first match. So Briggs and Anthony Green, the future is now showcase match because everything has a subtitle to it.
Yeah.
Briggs was definitely one of my standout people. He looks like the type of person who should definitely go to NXT, and through a little bit more seasoning and some direction and a couple different things here and there. He's not going to be give him the WWE title tomorrow type, but I think he's got something that he can really be dependable. That's the word I'm going for the future. Can't say the same about Anthony Green right now, though. I wasn't really feeling him.
Anthony Green seems like an odd gimmick that isn't really a gimmick, that he just doesn't seem like he's clicking. But Josh Briggs, I could go on about for a while because this dude impressed me so much. His choke slams are some of the best choke slams I've seen in years. I think he's got a great look. I was wondering if that thing on his shoulder was his gear. Apparently it was, because he didn't take it out the whole night.
I just assumed that was like kinesio tape kind of thing.
Yeah,
But he broke his, what was it? He like dislocated his hip or something?
Yeah. On doing a chokeslam backbreaker off the second rope. But this dude was fantastic, and I want to see him in NXT in a year's time. Maybe even less than that. He deserves to be a superstar.
When I was looking at Anthony Green, I said, I think that he reminds me of Pac and Peter Avalon. You put them in a blender and you try to give him the Joey Ryan gimmick, but a very, 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 very tamed down version of it, and you get Anthony Green. And with Josh Briggs, I was like, oh, he's Josh from Tough Enough, but if he would have actually amounted to something.
Yep.
Yeah. So I liked Briggs quite a bit. He was one of my, if I had to pick like 5 people to stand out for this show that I'd be like, you know what, I think that they should sign him. He's definitely one of them.
Oh, he's not even done for the night yet.
Yeah, he did pop up later on. Forgot about that. And I'll totally forget about it again. So when it happens, remind me.
I will remind you.
Then we had our Briggs wins by pinfall, for anybody who wants to know about that. Then we had what they had referred to before as a fatal 4-way, but this time they called it a 4-way freestyle match, which I was like, you know what? All right, give it a different name. Why not? It's Evolve. Kurt Stallion, Sean Maluda, Stephen Wolf, and Harlem Bravado.
Who stood out to you the most here?
The winner, Stephen Wolf. I thought that Wolf looked like somebody that they would put into the Cruiserweight Classic and maybe signed to NXT, and that he carried himself like he was an NXT star. Like he had, oh God, what was his nickname? The leader of the pack, Stephen Wolf, was his nickname. So I like that. He had ring gear that looked like he actually cared. Like he wasn't just wearing like black trunks or something like that. He had a little bit of a taunt that was specific for himself. And I liked his in-ring work. So Wolf was another one that I was like, you know what? Sign that guy. Give him a contract.
I feel like he'll just be filler on 205 Live, though.
Maybe. But you know what? Bring him in. Try something out. He could be another Drew Gulak type or something, for all we know. I've seen a little bit of Sean Maluda here and there from NXT and stuff, and he was the second best in this match, I think.
He was my favorite.
I think that they should sign him. Unless, and this is a weird kind of thing to think of, but I could see there being a rationality behind this. That they would go, look, Sean Maluda is somebody who is relatively not going to make it all that far in this business. And if we sign him to NXT, he's just going to be another jobber like Raul Mendoza. So why don't we keep him in Evolve, and maybe he can bring up a bunch of other people and work with them, and we can use him as like one of our go-to guys in Evolve. That's the only way I can understand them not signing him.
So you
but
want
I think
him to
that they
be
should
like
sign him too.
You want him to be a Cash Zono type?
Kinda. Yeah.
I like Maluda. Maluda looks like a badass, and he should be signed already. I don't know why he's not signed. We joked about it earlier. I genuinely don't know why. If they are even remotely in that Anoa'i family tree, why they're just not handed a contract as soon as they turn 18.
Well, I don't know about that. This is early, but at the same time, Sean Maluda's wrestled enough now. We should know whether or not that's something to invest in. And I, by the base of this match, I would invest in him.
Name one bad Samoan.
Well, there was the Wild Samoans. They weren't the bad Samoans. There was...
Jesus Christ.
Let's see. I guess technically the worst that I can think of is Manu.
That's the only one, and I really think that's because he was there and he was gone. He didn't even get to experience it. But those guys are so good, and Sean Maluda, I got that vibe of like, you're going to be special. Just like right now in MLW, Jacob Fatu is special. Just like Lance is killing it where he's doing stuff. I think those guys are just so good.
How old is Sean Maluda?
No clue.
Probably in his 20s, I think.
You know who I did learn the age of, Tony?
Who's that?
Austin Theory.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about him because that's another thing. Sean Maluda is apparently 30, so yeah, he's young enough. Like, sign the guy, put him in NXT. You know, at the very least, what's the bad thing of having him show around the loops that they've got? You know, put Sean Maluda in matches against Keith Lee and stuff. Like, that could be fun. Didn't really like Harlem Bravado.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And Kurt Stallion looks like the type of person. Again, I'm basing this off of one match too, but Kurt Stallion looks exactly like the type of person that Vince McMahon would see and go, this is why I don't watch Evolve.
So, admittedly, I talked him up on last week's episode. I've seen clips of him. I thought he was bigger, and I'm no one to talk, but I thought he was bigger. He looked really small on the show here, so I wasn't as impressed with him as I thought I would be.
Yeah, he looked really thin, really like Colin Delaney.
Yeah, perfect.
So that is something that is just not going to work in WWE because, let's face it, even though it's not the same Land of the Giants the way that it used to be, you put up Shawn Spears against the people that were in that match in AEW, and Shawn Spears looked big. And Spears is not one of those big guys in WWE. So if you were to put Kurt Stallion next to a Randy Orton, I can't buy that Kurt Stallion's going to beat him. Rey Mysterio's got more muscle definition, you know?
You remember when Adam Cole joined in the Rumble last year?
And yeah, it looked a little strange. It was
the first time I was like, oh shit, Cole is a small dude.
Yeah.
That's what
that's throwing me off about Kurt Stallion. And I didn't see enough in this match for him to be like, well, that's a negative working against him, but at the same time he did this crazy thing, and this was great. I didn't really like this match all that much. I think that it was really too much kind of like the AEW stuff that I had just watched. And after seeing so many super kicks and everything, I was like, all right, I get it. I've seen it already. That's not their fault, but at the same time, I wasn't feeling it.
I agree.
Then we had our grudge match, Anthony Henry against, and I've apparently been pronouncing this wrong. Also, I've been pronouncing wrong if I'm going to botch it like that. I've been saying Arturo Ruas, but they had said Arturo Huas, which to me immediately made me think of Son of a Woman. Just like the grudge match, it's Anthony Henry against Arturo Huas. Just be like, do that every fucking time he comes out.
What do you think of him?
I've seen Adrian Joj in NXT getting his ass beat by a variety of different people, and they never really showcased him because he was just the jobber in the match. This match, he looked pretty cool.
What do you think about the attire? Like, he's got that Brazilian capoeira style that he just sort of doesn't wear shoes. He's got his feet taped up.
Is that a gi, technically?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I like that. That was something different.
I was super into this match.
I liked it a lot. I thought that they wrestled a completely different style than the matches that were ahead of that. Like, they were striking to... My note is the two of them are striking each other harder and giving a feel that they actually want to fight rather than having a choreographed performance.
Kind of goes into Henry's busted nose.
Yeah, I liked Henry in this match too. This is the first thing that I've ever seen of Anthony Henry, and I was like, you know what? Give Huas more time in NXT.
Give Henry a contract?
Give Henry a contract, yeah.
I agree 100%. In fact, I was watching this, and sometimes my little cousin will come in the room and she'll sit there and watch. She was immediately like, that's a cool guy. I want to see more of him. In reference to Henry, she like got it right away because he looks like a star. He's one of the few guys who knew how to carry himself.
Now, he's the type of guy that I could see working really well through the performance center of them saying, You need a little bit more character. You need to do something to tweak a little bit here and there. Because if he's just Anthony Henry, that's not going to be like a good selling point. But he's got a lot of the tools already that I could see them tweaking a couple things. And a year from now, they debut him as something in particular. And it'd be like, this guy's pretty good. And if I wouldn't have seen this match, I think if they would have debuted him a year from now in something on NXT and they would have had just like whatever the fuck they would have named him, I don't know, and been like, we're making a big deal that we're signing this guy, I'd be like, I'd never really heard of this guy, but let's see what he is. And I probably would be like, he's got a future, I guess technically the way that I am doing with this whole Evolve thing as it is, because it's the first signing I've saw, but I liked both of them in this. I like this match.
And like you said, Huas was really cool, had a cool look to him. Need to see more of that. And, really, I want to see more of that going forward.
I feel like if Huas had the height that Cesar Bononi has, he would have been treated as a big deal already.
I could see that.
Because Bononi's not going anywhere. That seems like that's a guarantee at this point. It's weird how there's certain people that are like that. Like, how long has Dan Matha been in NXT where they still have not debuted him for real?
Didn't they change his name finally, though?
Yeah, he's Dorian Mack, I think, now.
And did they change Bononi?
Nah.
He's still Bononi?
Yep, he's still Caesar Bonini, Bononi, Banana, Fono, Fabana, whatever.
E5 Fabana.
Huas.
No.
Then we got my favorite match of the night. Hands down my favorite match of the night. The no disqualification match between Brandi Lauren and Shotzi Blackheart. I had seen one match of Brandi Lauren in NXT, and I had heard that she was Ava Story, and I was like, I've heard that name before, but I've never seen anything. Never had heard of Shotzi Blackheart in my life.
Hey, porn star, superstar, Ava Story.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. I probably would have been like, For that matter, Shotzi Blackheart to a certain extent. Brandi Lauren, definitely. This was awesome.
I love Shotzi. Shotzi should be signed.
Both of them should be signed. Definitely.
I like Brandi as a valet, and I think that's okay. I think valets are underutilized. She knows what she's doing. She knew how to really piss off the crowd. And Shotzi is a daredevil. She fucking jumped onto a pile of chairs.
So two parts in this that I had written down in particular that stood out to me, where there's a drop kick section where she drop kicks the chair, and the sound was really cool. I really like that. But man, that spot with it was 4 chairs, and then there's another chair on top of that, and she puts Brandi Lauren in there, and the plan is you're gonna jump and you're gonna land on top of that. Well, she gets pulled off of it, so Shotzi just face plants on top of that. That's one of those moments where I was just like, ouch, fuck, no, don't do that.
She had signed on for Tough Enough, and I think had to withdraw because of some health issues.
Shotzi?
Yeah. And I really want her to get a chance now. She's too good to be ignored. I'm surprised that we haven't seen Shotzi in NXT already, really. Shotzi is special, and I hope she gets utilized on NXT TV very soon.
Yeah, I think that they need to sign these two. Brandi Lauren, maybe in some kind of the capacity of being like, all right, you might need to go a little bit more training through this or do some different things like that. But I say you put these both in the Mae Young Classic, because they're probably going to do another one of those. So put them in there. Have Shotzi be the type that maybe she gets into the second round or something like that, depending on who else is in there. Don't know anything about this Natalia Markova, though.
Yeah,
she showed up and she just kind of fucked off. So what was all that about?
Well, I think there's some prior history between her and Shotzi, and I think she fucked off because Shotzi got the better of her.
Huh.
And the match wasn't between... When I first saw that, I thought, okay, so Lauren isn't gonna wrestle and is not a wrestler, but she came in and she came back strong. And, I could see Brandi Lauren easily taking over that Alexa Bliss role of the pretty girl who's just an absolute bitch and is like so fun to hate. And I think she does that role very well.
Yeah, I didn't see almost anything from Markova to really be able to judge anything about her, to be like, all right, well, sign her too or something. She looks like she's got like the look of somebody that they would want to sign, good body and everything like that. So maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see in the future if that's something. But Brandi Lauren at least had the character going down, and I mean, she's attractive, so that's another positive when it comes to that. But Shotzi was the one that was like, she was dictating this match.
I'll be honest, I think to a certain extent when you look at the rosters on the women's rosters on the main roster, Shotzi could probably fit right in on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Hell, Shotzi could be Ember Moon's partner, and I'd be like, yup.
I'd be cool with it. It'd be like, all right, you're hot-shotting somebody like that, but hey, that's interesting.
I'm with it.
Then we had a special challenge match. Babatunde against Colby Corino.
Babatunde. No?
So, Babatunde's huge.
He's fucking big.
And I gotta tell you, Colby Corino isn't.
Well, I just got what you were doing.
This is a squash match, essentially. So it's like, this is where I wrote a note to myself of stop cutting off the audio. I forgot that they were doing that. They did not have an idea of having to lower the volume for this. It was like anytime that they needed to switch to something else or shut something off, the themes and stuff would just cut out. It was really
it was very
weird.
direct.
So if like Undisputed Era is like dun 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 dun, and it's like, oh wow, dude, literally hit the stop button.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that, but Babatunde's just slapping him, and there was a part in this I thought was kind of funny where a bunch of sweat comes off of Colby Corino, and the one commentator, because there was only the one of them, which I don't know if I like a one-man team like that, but whatever.
Lenny Leonard is very good. Lenny Leonard can do it by himself.
He said, I don't think that was perspiration. I think that was Colby Corino's soul. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it's a huge dude picking on a little guy. I'm confused about what the whole thing with the stable is.
The Unwanted?
Yeah, they're just like a different version of the Forgotten Sons, I guess.
You said that, and I'm going to say yes. That's a good description.
So the Forgotten Sons that haven't seen Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Babatunde?
I think it goes without saying he's huge.
Yeah, Babatunde is huge.
Was Court Moore with him?
Nope.
Why? Stokely Hathaway came from Evolve. I think Babatunde needs a manager. I think Court Moore needs to be on TV because TV needs managers. And it must have been really awkward for Steve Corino calling that match with his son openly calling himself the Unwanted Son.
I want to make it some kind of a less is more joke, and I can't think of it. Damn it. Then we had our Evolve Tag Team Championship match. Eddie Kingston and Joe Gacy, two of the members of the Forgotten Unwanted Sons or whatever, against AR Fox and Leon Ruff with Ayla and the Skulk. So we figured out what that is now. It's not some kind of a, band name or something like that, but it kind of is.
It's totally an indie band name.
I didn't fucking like the Skulk.
Hey, does the fox say rough?
I think so. Maybe he says the Skulk, and that's why they call themselves that.
What does the fox say? Rough.
My note on my EWN article is, what are the Skulk? Or what is the Skulk? Or who are the Skulk? How? Why? When? Yeah, I don't like the Skulk, but I did like Fox and Ruff from what I had seen. They looked like they could have been pretty interesting people that could be in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, maybe, which made me think of something. You think they're going to do a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic anymore now that Cody Rhodes is in a whole separate company with Dustin Rhodes?
I think they're going to do it with even more bells and whistles on their tails.
I could see themselves being too wary to do that and not doing another Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic.
No, I think you have to.
Or, you know what they might do? Knowing how WWE does this sometimes, they might still have a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but they might kind of just tweak the name a little bit and be like, well, we're only going to refer to it for the most part as the Tag Team Classic. You know, like Morrow gets the words from above. Don't say the name Dusty Rhodes. Just be like, you know, we've got our Tag Team Classic here that we do every year in NXT. Like, you know what I mean? Graphic still says Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but nobody says the name. That kind of thing.
I'm trying to think of like another legend, but you can't call it the Arn Anderson Tag Team Classic.
No, you can't do that. Yeah, they definitely wouldn't rename it to another person, but I could see them just not doing it.
It's the D-Generation X Tag Team Invitational.
But I could see Ruff and Fox being a part of that as like the live event tour portion of that, because they usually do that. It's usually like round one of the Tag Team Classic tends to be throughout like the live events, and then you kind of continue going forward past that point. Put Fox and Ruff in there, have them in a tag team. They were pretty fun.
I agree. And AR Fox, kind of like Isaiah Scott, and even Finn Balor and Ricochet, one of those names that you've been hearing forever. AR Fox should get his chance.
I haven't been hearing it forever. I never heard of it before this.
Well, that's why I'm here, Tony.
If you put ST in front of that, I've heard of Star Fox. But I never liked the game. Gotta say, I'm gonna get some flack in the comments, but never liked the Star Fox game.
Dual barrel roll.
No.
Well, fuck.
Give me Kirby instead. Real quick, top 5 games of all time. Not in any particular order, but GoldenEye, Donkey Kong Country, Kirby Superstar, Super Mario 3. And not sure if I would just classify them all, but probably like Pokemon Yellow.
Super Smash Bros. Melee, Mario 64. I would say NBA Not Jam, that's Showtime, is a very fun arcade game. I would throw in No Mercy, and Here Comes the Pain.
Leave your comments below. What's the top 5 favorite games of all time? We can talk about some other stuff. If you don't want to hear that stuff, well, then don't go to Fanboys Anonymous, because that's what I do that stuff. So.
That's right.
Fanboys Anonymous, if I haven't done the plug already, is the movie review side of things, and TV stuff, and comic books, and games, and whatever stuff I pretty much never have the time to do. But if you hit up the Patreon for that, then I might have more time to do it. That's how that works.
And I'll help.
Yeah, we'll do podcasts about some other things and talk about pop culture and stuff. We get into tag team champions, and then we get the Skulk, or the Skulkettes, or the Skulk Fires, or something. I'm assuming they're just the Skulk, all dancing in the ring. That's another moment where I was like, yeah, I'm just not taking the Skulk. Then we had one of my least favorite matches, actually. The Catch Point reunion match, Matt Riddle against Drew Gulak. And I'm a big fan of Drew Gulak, and I think that Matt Riddle's got a lot of positives. But I just couldn't get into this match, really.
Yeah, something.
It was good. Like, I'm not going to be like, it sucked, but like, I was exhausted at this point, too. So that was another thing. Maybe I need to go back and watch it, but are you kind of in agreement that it was a little bit underwhelming?
A little bit underwhelming, in that I thought it would be the match of the weekend. But maybe that's why I felt underwhelmed. Maybe I went into it too high. You know, like, Matt Riddle goes into everything too high, but, that's a different story. I thought it would be very good, and it was just good. That makes sense?
I have that song in my head, and I'm thinking, you went into high.
Yeah. High above me.
Yeah, Catch Point, they threw out some stuff about that. I'm sure if I would have been like an Evolve follower, that would have been a cool mark out moment to me, but since I'm not, Didn't really mean
You're just
anything.
getting this day 6 Smark out moment.
Yeah. And then we had our Evolve champion, Austin Theory, against our WWN champion, JD Drake, in a winner-take-all match.
Well, let's talk about Paul
Before
Heyman
that,
first.
though,
Yes.
before that, we had Paul Heyman come out. And actually, before that, we had Brian Idol, who, I don't know Brian Idol, and I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but this guy comes out and he just kind of doesn't do anything but, like, try to clear his throat a couple times. What the fuck was happening with this?
Well, because they tease somebody major who without whom Evolve wouldn't even exist. Brian Idol comes out, don't know who he is, but he can't speak for whatever reason, and lights go out because it's ECW arena. Lights go out, lights come on. Oh shit, Paul Heyman is in the ECW arena. And he's very humble in the way Paul Heyman typically is. Says, thank you for welcoming me home. I never do these things, but I wanted to be here because this is the moment where the industry is going to evolve. And then in what must have been a very cool moment for somebody who was only 5 years old when Brock Lesnar won his first Undisputed Championship, Paul Heyman introduced Austin Theory like he was a motherfucking WrestleMania headliner.
Yeah, so I don't know what to take away with this Brian Idol guy, but the look of him looked like somebody that I'd be like, oh, yeah, I sign the guy, you know? And I dug the Paul Heyman thing, and I love the line that he put out there. He says, oh my God, you guys got pyro? We don't have pyro.
We don't have pyro, and it's, we want pyro, which I thought was funny.
This is where I noticed when they said something about how Evolve doesn't have countouts, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's why.
Well, at least they tried to explain their rules, unlike AEW, which is letting everything fly, with Jim Ross trying to explain rules.
The AEW apparently doesn't have disqualifications. It's like, what's going on with this stuff? You know?
I'm okay
Is
with
NXT going to be like, we don't have ring bells?
I'm okay with not having countouts, because countouts are typically just used as a backdoor device. So I'm okay with not having that aspect.
I think that you need to have that in there just in case. Because there are moments where it ends up being like, oh man, I don't know, this person could end up getting counted out, and they got in at 9, and it's like, wow, I really didn't think that they were going to. Or you could fuck it up like Gentleman Jack Aller. You know?
I don't want to harp on this, but how cool must it have been for JD Drake and Austin Theory, specifically Austin Theory, to be introduced by Paul Heyman as though he was introducing Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker?
I mean, it's got to be a career highlight so far for those guys.
And
they made it a point to do the whole thing of like, to really get you to know Austin Theory is the guy that we are saying is going to be a big deal.
Dude looks like Randy Orton or John Cena at like the beginnings of their WWE career. Austin Theory is so much money. Why is he not signed?
That doesn't make any sense to me.
21 years old. And I keep harping on this because he said it in the middle of the match when Drake kicked out of one of his finishers. He's like, no, I'm the future of wrestling. I'm 21 years old. And it floored me because this dude looks like he's been wrestling forever and he's ready to go tomorrow.
It's weird when you see like, you know, it's not all that weird when I see like the younger people in NXT sometimes and they look like they're younger and they're like, all right, well, they just got signed and they're going to be here for a while and that kind of thing. But when there's somebody like a Velveteen Dream, for instance, who that guy knows what he's doing and seems to have a better grasp of stuff that isn't just like athleticism, but, you know, psychology and everything, more than some people that have been doing it for years and years and years. And then you see somebody like an Austin Theory, and both of these guys real young. And you're like, all right, well, I guess we could just kind of bet all our chips on these guys. You know what I mean?
MJF Austin Theory and Velveteen Dream are the future of wrestling because they're not even 25. And
Insane.
fucking wild.
And great, too.
Great.
Because that's like, if Austin Theory's as good as he is, and he's only 21, Velveteen Dream is as good as he is, and he's only whatever he is, I don't know, 23 or something like that.
MJF is 22.
Yeah, he's 23, I think. That's such a great sign for those people.
They can have John Cena length runs because they're so young.
Austin Theory could have 10 years from now get in his prime.
Pete Dunne. You know what? Right now, top 5 wrestlers under the age of 25. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Austin Theory, MJF, and Velveteen Dream.
I don't know who else there is in the mix, but that's a good group.
That is a group that can headline SummerSlams, WrestleManias, Survivor Series. That's an amazing group.
I don't know if I feel a whole lot of a future ahead for JD Drake.
Nope.
And to be honest, I didn't love this match as much as I wanted to. I thought that this was going to be better. And I'll put some of that on Austin Theory too. I mean, it is half of his match, but I wanted this to be the type of thing that would be, you know, especially Paul Heyman putting it out there as like, this is the moment where everything's going to change. And I was like, all right, well, for a non-WWE type of show and whatever, it's all right. But this didn't make me think of anything of like, wow, you know? Like, I remember that Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander match from the Cruiserweight Classic. That made me go, holy fuck. Sign these guys. Bring these guys out here. I get it. I understand why these people are in this tournament, all that stuff. I didn't get that feeling with this.
I think the feeling I got for the future was more after the bell rang, where Theory throws down the WWN title, steps on it, and then lights go out, lights come back on. It's Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs lays out Theory with a choke slam and holds up the Evolve title. So, Evolve Championship is the main championship. Josh Briggs, Austin Theory, I get it.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know how WWN works and all that stuff. We broke that down on our prediction side of things, but I said it before. I mean, if you have a company called Evolve and you want to make that something that's like going forward as like the, you know, if Raw and SmackDown are the A platform and NXT is the B platform, then Evolve is the C platform. Well, it doesn't make any sense to not have an Evolve champion, especially when Austin Theory is the one that's holding it, you know? So I'm wondering what they do with this whole WWN thing. If it's just like, title's going away, or if maybe he just defends both, or, you know what I mean? What do you
think it's going away only because he stepped on it. Like, he really made it seem like it didn't matter.
Well, I mean, they could do something where it's like he carries that title and he loses it to somebody who's like, you know, you're disparaging that championship and I want to win it or something, you know, like, I don't know how these things work with Evolve because it's like, well, this is Evolve 131 and like tomorrow night they're doing Evolve 132 and it's like, well, okay, that's even different, you know?
Bro, Josh Briggs, 6'8", 268, has only been wrestling for about 2.5 years.
Nice.
This dude is the future. I'm trying to look up his age to see if he would fit.
That would suck if he was like 42 or something like that. They looked like the real standouts here. And of course, there's one other match that's on the card. It's Adam Cole against Akira Tozawa for the NXT Championship.
This match, unfortunately, sucked.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling this. Like, I liked that Tozawa got a little bit of a chance to shine, but I don't remember anything about this except for Tozawa hitting his head on the turnbuckle. So, can't really crap all over similar things and not say that this one, you know, didn't really follow suit.
I didn't believe for a second that Adam Cole was in any kind of jeopardy. Although I loved hearing the entire ECW arena say boom in sync. They're just so in sync, and it's just Adam Cole's a star. Josh Briggs is 28.
That's good.
Yeah, Adam Cole's a star. this was a kind of a throwaway match. And yeah, I don't have much else to say.
So overall, how do you feel about this Evolve thing?
I thought it was great. I thought it was the best standout show you could have put against All Elite Wrestling. They know the audience that they're trying to divide. And yeah, just thought it was a really good show. I want to see more of it. I want them to announce that they... what's the word I'm looking for here? I want to announce that they're going to do these tiered things and do them quick, you know?
I think that there's a possible future here for showing some more Evolve stuff. But at the same time, if they say, hey, Evolve is going to have like a weekly show, there's too much. And I'm not going to be able to watch it. Just the same as I don't religiously watch NXT UK. And to be perfectly honest, I don't watch 205 Live as in-depth as I want to. A lot of the times I'm just working on stuff and it's like that's in the background. I do watch NXT still. Like, I pretty much sit down and watch that. But it's tough. I mean, nobody watches fucking Main Event.
No.
And that's like, I don't want them to be like, okay, well, we'll replace Main Event with this, and then it'd be like something that I should watch, because it's like, it's easy to not watch Main Event. And if you're going to put these people out there and stuff, like, there's good things and, you know, all that, but I mean, I like my merging, so I kind of look at that as being like, well, crap, send out like 6 of these people up to NXT already and just be like, all right, there you go. Like, make it a factory, you know?
And I think Evolve will work great as the feeder system. This is basically what OVW was 15 years ago. And I'm okay with that. It's very good. It's run by a great dude who is the protege of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's fingers are all over wrestling in 2019. And I don't know how we got here, but it's amazing.
It's very interesting. And we're only at the very beginning of this, because this week was the first week of like really kind of starting to get into the swing of things. Next week could be completely different. It could be a lot better. It could be a lot worse. Who knows? But those are the hot tags. So, as I mentioned before, drop your comments. Tell us what you thought about all these things. What did you think about Evolve? What's your speculation on SmackDown tomorrow night? Anything else you want to chime in on? And while you're doing that, if you're not subscribed, you should be doing that, because that's how YouTube works. All the other plugs I mentioned before, I'm not going to rerun them down all over again, but anything else you want to toss out?
WrestleZone Daily. I'm also doing WrestleZone post shows for Raw and SmackDown and inevitably AEW when that starts up in October. So check out the WrestleZone radio podcast feed and check out WrestleZone.com on Facebook. Dude Felice, I said that already. Check out all the great weeklies at Smark Out Moment, including the Triple Threat, which I currently run. Won't be doing that for much longer. I'm burned out. As I feel like we can be very open on this channel. I'm very much burned out. So there's that. And Time Killer Apparel.
And we are not just burned out, but it's time for us to be counted out. See you next time, everybody.